NFL fans, what is going on? We had a great Thursday night game. The Jets absolutely destroyed the Patriots. The Patriots are finally coming back down to earth and are being the team that we all expected them to be. In today's episode, I want to go over all my NFL predictions against the spread for Week 3. Last week, I was absolutely horrendous versus the spread. I did okay with my straight-up picks. We went 7-9 with a bunch of those crazy games. We went 12-4 Week 1, so I'm looking to get back on the saddle in Week 3 and do a little bit better against the spread. I'm not a spread better. I never actually bet spreads when I'm making my bets each and every week, but it is fun. I know a lot of you guys like to bet the spread, so I'm going to give you my best inclination on whether or not what team you should pick on the spread. So the first game I want to talk about, the Denver Broncos versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going hard in the paint on the Buccaneers for my survivor pools, right? I think the way this Buccaneers team matches up against the Broncos, I think they cover the 6.5 points. The Broncos offensive line has been absolutely terrible. Starting right tackle, he's out for this week. So their actually horrible offensive line somehow gets worse. Their defense, especially their defensive line, has not performed well either this year. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are riding pretty high, trying to go 3-0 for the first time in like 25 years or something like that. But Baker is balling out. Chris Godwin is playing out of his mind, over 20 fantasy points both weeks. Mike Evans is still the truth. Jalen McMillan, the rookie, he's really talented as well. I expect for them to run the ball effectively against this Broncos team, especially because they're coming from Denver and have to go to Tampa Bay, where the game time temperature is going to be 89 degrees with like 90% humidity, right? I think these big dogs on the lines, the offensive and defensive lines for the Broncos, are really going to wear out in the second half. And I look for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to ramp up that run game and dominate the trenches and cover the 6.5 points. All right, next up, we got the New York Giants and the Cleveland Browns. I'm taking the New York Giants and the 6.5 points. The Cleveland Browns, Myles Garrett is dealing with injuries on both feet. Denzel Ward is also questionable in this game. And if he doesn't play, I think Malik Neighbors has a big day. It seems like Malik Neighbors and Daniel Jones started to get a little rapport last week. And I expect for them to build on that momentum a little bit. And if things open up with the pass, I think that's going to open up things with Devin Singletary. I think the Browns should ultimately win this game. I think it's going to be a close game, like a 17-14, 20-16 type of game. And the Giants are going to cover the 6.5 points. All right, Philadelphia Eagles at the New Orleans Saints. My Philadelphia Eagles were an abomination last week. Barkley played well, but no A.J. Brown this week, and a defense that has so many holes, they look like actual Swiss cheese. The defensive line has been terrible. There's no pass rush at all. They can't get home with 4 guys because guess what? There's a lack of talent there. Jordan Davis is a bust. Bryce Huff, who they brought over from the Jets, he can't defend the run at all whatsoever. So when he's ever in the game, they're like, oh, it's a passing situation. They're probably going to be coming hard to get to the quarterback, right? Huff has been terrible. No tackles, like no pressures, no sacks. He has been a complete waste of dollars. The Saints, on the opposite hand, blew the absolute doors off the Cowboys at home, who previously won their last 16 home games at Jerry's World. I expect the Saints to win and cover. No A.J. Brown leaves a huge hole for Jalen Hurts in that offense. And even if they score 20, 24 points, you know this defense is giving up at least 30. They are trash, and there's no end in sight. There's not a guy coming off of an injury who's going to make this defense whole again, right? They're terrible. The front seven has been an abomination for the Birds. I look for that to continue. The Saints win and cover. Chargers at the Steelers, right? The Steelers are dealing with some injuries on the offensive line. Looks like Fontano is not going to play in this game. He got hurt in Friday's practice. It still looks like Isaac Seumalo with that pec injury is out as well. I like for the Chargers to cover the 3 points. I think this is going to be a close game. 2017, 21-20, 24-21 type of game. It's going to be really close. Can the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line hold up? Because you know that defense is going to hold up. But I have some concerns about the offensive line. That's why I'm taking the Chargers and the plus 3 points. I think the Steelers might squeak it out at the end. It's going to be a close game. I wouldn't be betting on this game at all whatsoever. Texans at the Minnesota Vikings. This line is coming down, man. There's some juice coming in on the Vikings after that dominant performance last week, winning at home against the San Francisco 49ers. I like this line when it was 2.5 more than I do at 1.5 for the Minnesota Vikings. Oh, man, I've been going back and forth, but it's hard for me to bet against CJ Stroud. I think I'm going to go with CJ Stroud to cover the 1.5 points, but I've been going back and forth on this. On my Tuesday prediction video, I took the Vikings for the upset, but I don't know. Oh, man, I don't know. I'm wishy-washy on this game, guys. This is a really tough one. I'm just going to watch this as a fan. I have no skin in this game at all whatsoever. But CJ Stroud is really talented. I think he does just enough to win and cover the 1.5 points. All right, Green Bay Packers at the Titans. I'm taking the Packers into 3 points all day. Whether it's Malik Willis or Jordan Love, it doesn't matter to me. The only thing that concerns me about this game is the Titans and Pollard just running the ball down the Packers' throat. The Packers are not particularly good against the run, but the Titans are just in disarray. They got a pretty good D-line, but the defense is so-so. But that offense is a turnover machine. They haven't been too good so far. And the Packers are just a pretty good football team, man. Xavier McKinney, Javon Buller, I just like their defense. And on offense, they got a slew of wide receivers, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson. We got Wicks, Jaden Reed. They got a really talented group of wide receivers. Josh Jacobs is going to be a big part of that offense as well. I think the Packers get it done and cover the 3 points. Bears at the Colts. I've been going back and forth on this game as well. The Colts are so hard to bet because they're so inconsistent, and the Bears' defense is really good. They held C.J. Stroud in check last week, even though they lost, and I look for DeAndre Swift to have a big game against that terrible rush defense of the Colts. I'm going with the Bears to cover the plus 1 points. Carolina Panthers versus the Raiders. This line was at 5, 5.5. Now it's up to 6. The last time Andy Dalton played, he played pretty well, but that defense is going to give up a lot of points, and I expect the Raiders to control the clock in this game. No Derek Brown, he's done for the year. The best defensive lineman on the Panthers. I look for the Raiders to really want to establish the run, use play action with Devontae Adams and Brock Bowers, who's become kind of a safety net on third down, especially for Gardner Minshew. He's been pretty good, over 500 yards in the first 2 games passing. A couple turnovers, but for the most part, he's looked pretty good. The Panthers aren't really a turnover-driven defense. So I like the Raiders, but I think the Panthers cover the 6 points. I think it's going to be a closer game, like 24-20, something like that. I think the Panthers can cover the 6 points. Miami Dolphins at the Seahawks. Miami traveling across the country to go play Seattle. Seattle is a very, very talented team. That offense, some of the best weapons in football. It does look like Kenneth Walker is not going to be playing in this game, which is a big loss. He hasn't played the last week. Miami Dolphins, Skylar Thompson's getting the start. It looks like Mostert is not playing in this game, says McDaniels, according to ESPN. That just got released a couple hours ago. Missing a lot of weapons. No Tua, no Mostert, backup quarterback. In Seattle, a tough place to play. I'm going Seattle to cover the 4.5 points. 49ers, Rams. Both teams a slew of injuries, right? On offense, no Christian McCaffrey for the 49ers, no Deebo Samuel for the 49ers. Looks like Kittle probably is not going to play either. The Rams, no Puka Nacua, no Cooper Kupp. But the 49ers defense looks pretty healthy, so I think they're going to give problems to the Rams. So I think they cover. I just don't see how the Rams score a lot of points in this game. I think Bosa and company and Hargraves are going to be batting down the hatches. I think the 49ers cover this game, but barely, like 27-20, 24-17, something like that. I think the 49ers, cover the 6.5 points. Lions at the Cardinals. The Lions have not looked so good this year. I think the Lions win this game, but I think it's going to be a close game. I'm going with the Cardinals to cover the 3 points. And if they only win by 3, we'll at least get a push. But Arizona's offense is going to score some points. Vegas thinks this game is going to be high scoring by the 51.5 point over under. I think the Lions win this game, but I think the Cardinals can cover the spread. The only thing that concerns me, Aiden Hutchinson wreaking havoc on the backup right tackle for the Arizona Cardinals. If he has another 5-sack game, it's going to be a long day for Kyler Murray, who's a little more elusive in the pocket than Baker Mayfield, right? So they're going to have to be careful steamrolling the pass rushers because Kyler Murray is really good at getting outside of contain and picking up yards with his feet. That's why I think the Cardinals cover the 3 points. Ravens, Cowboys, pretty much a pick'em game. I'm going with the Cowboys to cover the spread, the 1 point spread. I think the Cowboys win this game outright. The Ravens are just a shell of themselves. They go to 0-3. They're missing a lot of free agents that were on the team last year, especially Patrick Queen in the middle of that defense. They're missing McDonald, the former defensive coordinator, who is now the head coach of the Seahawks. I'm looking for the Cowboys to cover the 1 point. Chiefs at the Falcons. I think this is going to be a close game. I think the Falcons cover the 3 points, but the Chiefs still win this game. Like last week, a last-second field goal to win by 1 point. Falcons cover the 3 points. The Falcons got some juice on that last drive, so maybe that gives them a little bit of confidence moving forward, right? But Kirk Cousins is kind of a statue back there. He's definitely not 100% healthy with his legs. His arm looked pretty decent. The Chiefs' defense has not been that great. They're really missing L'Jarius Sneed, who's now with the Titans. No Pacheco for this game. Keeps it closer and closer to me. That's why I think the Falcons cover the 3 points. And then we got 2 Monday night games. Jaguars at the Bills. I think the Bills cover the 5 points. The Jaguars are having a lot of struggle scoring points, man. They can't score. The offensive line is not very good. Their defense is okay, but Tua lit them up for over 300 yards in week 1. I think Josh Allen balls out. They're going to run the ball effectively with James Cook. I like for the Buffalo Bills to cover the 5 points. Commanders at the Bengals. The Bengals lost to New England week 1. They lost a close game to Kansas City in a sloppy game. I think the Commanders cover the 7.5 points. The Bengals should probably win this game, but again, I think this game is going to be a lot closer than people think. And if the Commanders snuck one out, I wouldn't be completely surprised. The Bengals probably win this game, but it's probably going to be by 3, 4, 5, 6 points, something like that. 7.5 is a big spread for me. I think the Commanders can cover the spread. All right, guys, hopefully I do a little bit better against the spread this week than I did last week. Check out Tuesday's video. That's where I do my money line picks. I'm definitely better at the money line picks than the spread, but I think this week we're going to get back in the win column and get positive for the year in our spread bets. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll catch you on the next video. Peace.